How was that? How was that for a quick start tonight, Steve?
Yeah, that was a great start. I think our guys were ready to roll. We've lost 3 straight games to Phoenix in the regular season. I thought tonight our guys showed the intensity right out of the gates and the execution, and that was obviously the key to the game. We were able to hold them off when they made their run, but that start was fantastic.
You called the game the other night one of your most complete games. Where would you kind of put this game in tonight? And what did you see during that Phoenix run in the third quarter?
Well, they're a hell of a team, and they're very physical. And I thought they took us out of our offense. Just got into us. They were the more physical team, the more aggressive team, and usually, just like we showed in the first quarter, the more aggressive team tends to have the ball go in the hoop and ball bounce towards them and all that stuff. So they rocked us, on our heels in that third quarter. But I was proud of the way our guys finished the third quarter and then started the fourth, and we were able to control the game from there.
You mentioned being 0-3 against Phoenix. A couple of those losses there, Clay in particular, showed a lot of frustration. I think it was the first time he's ever been ejected. Did you feel him being extra fired up for the Booker matchup, for the Phoenix matchup tonight in that first quarter?
I just think Clay's been in such a great place now for a while, for several months. The 2 early Phoenix losses, he really struggled and showed a lot of frustration. So I know it felt good for him to have that huge first half, regardless of who we were playing. But as I said, this is a division rival and a team that's beaten us 3 straight. So we knew how big a game it was, and Clay knew how big it was, and he came out and set the tone.
Question you've been trying to answer all year: how do you take this on a 5-game road trip?
It's got to start with the defense. If you look at the numbers, our defensive stats at home are really good. We're one of the top few teams in the entire NBA in terms of defensive rating. And then on the road, we're one of the worst. So it has to start with the defense. I always talk about how, the game has to connect. So part of defense is having good offensive possessions and executing at that end. So we got to connect the game, but it has to start with a defensive mindset.
Anything from these last 2 games you feel like you may have found anything that you can take?
I think the defense has been much better, and that's set a tone. I never felt like the last 2 games like we were disconnected defensively. This is the NBA, so no matter what you do, in 2023, the other team's probably going to score 110 points, but it's those other 15, 20 points that are just out there every single night that you have to take away. That means boxing out. It means not, turning it over. Live ball turnovers that lead to layups. It means understanding personnel. It means defending without fouling. So those are all the things, that we have to do. And, you have to do it together. It can't be a case where, guys are looking around saying, don't blame me. It's like, no, we're going to do this together. 5-man unit. We are a mistake by one player is a team mistake. You can live with mistakes as long as everybody is connected and fighting the whole way through.
Steve, 20-6 plus 14 for Jordan tonight. What made him successful?
Well, I think one of the key stretches in the game was, kind of mid-fourth when they made a push. They had cut it to maybe 7 or 8 points, and I think Jordan made a 3. He made a couple of great drives to the hole. He's so fast getting to the rim, and he gives us that dynamic that really adds a dimension to our offense. So he just stayed with it. It was in some ways it was a frustrating game for him. He had some turnovers and some defensive errors, but he stayed with it. And, at the end of the game, he's a plus 12. And like I said, I thought that was one of the key stretches, was mid-fourth when he kind of went on that little run.
It was the first time he scored 20 points off the bench in exactly 2 months. Is this like a good example of being under control and how he can get his points off the bench as well?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, like I said, he had a few careless passes in the second half that he's got to make sure he checks those, and we need him to stay solid. But biggest thing for Jordan and really for all our guys is just go out and fight and compete and do it in a way where we're poised and we're executing, and when we all do that together, we're pretty good.
I don't know, in the first 3 games, was Clay guarding Booker very much? And tonight he obviously started on him. Was that something that you guys did maybe to make sure he's aware of this matchup, or put Booker right in front of him and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have much choice tonight. So it wasn't anything, motivational. It was more just, Wiggs isn't here. We've got Dante guarding Chris Paul, so we're obviously going to put Clay on Book. But I think Clay is feeling much better about his overall health, his feeling of energy and competitiveness and poise. I think because he's feeling better overall, I think his defense has picked up too.
And Steph has talked about 6th seed. I mean, that's at least get the 6th seed. Is that something you've brought up, or is a conversation just get out of the play-in? Is there any I know you want to get the 1st seed, but you're probably not going to get that one. Have you talked to the team, or do you have an idea where you want this to end up with?
I don't even bring up standings or where we want to be. It's all process. It's all, what do we have to do to get better? What do we have to do to win on the road? These are the details. Let's get better at the details, and then see what happens from there.
Obviously, sustaining momentum has been something that's been really challenging for this team this season. And you mentioned that you guys lost the first 3 games of the Suns. How important was it to get this win in this fashion, just with only a few games left?
Yeah, I mean, every game now is critical. So feels like most of our games now are being played against teams that we're battling for playoffs positioning for or with. So every game's a big one. So they all count the same, and we just got to keep winning.
You went to the box and won for a few possessions in a row there, late third, as you were able to make the run to retake control of the game on Booker. Why did you decide to go to that at that time, and why was it able to be successful?
I think Phoenix is a team that's very well coached, well drilled. They have a pattern that they like to get to that's really tough to stop. And, Chris is one of the great point guards of all time, and the way he orchestrates their offense, they can just get into a rhythm, and they're really a great team. So you just have to give them some different looks and try to mix things up and not let them come down and see the same thing every time down the floor.